Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we're super excited to have Lois on this call. As a national team athlete with CKC in slalom for I believe since 2015. It's amazing to have an athlete at this caliber join us. So thank you, Lois. A couple other details: five-time national champion. The club is Ottawa River Runners. And what I think is going to be really unique for us is although Lois is a tremendous athlete, she's come to speak at us about some of the programs she did for the club in terms of community engagement and how to engage underrepresented groups. So a little different perspective from her athletic career into her coaching side, but certainly the experience of both. We're pretty lucky to be able to hear Lois and move from there. So thank
Well,
you, Lois.
thanks for having me. Yeah, so I guess basically the initial prompt was talent identification. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on sort of how we took the opportunity of COVID to sort of grow our participation at the club level, because we, as a whitewater club, we kind of struggle to, well, I don't think it's because we're whitewater, but we had a little slump in participation at the Ottawa River Runners Club. Um, we had a lot of participation in recreational kayaking over the last few years, but slalom really dwindled. But recently we've had a huge uptake, and I think that was, well, Larry and Eric did a lot to get some money that we could really focus on those on that sort of slalom specific growth. So basically, um, we we started, it would be in 2018 or 2019, with a former junior national team athlete, Natasha O'Connell. And she's a huge personality, very good at sort of integrating people, and she really started a fairly good, oh, I don't know what's happening on the screen, but that's not me. Anyway, so she facilitated the beginning of the growth that we're seeing now. She focused on what we called girl power, which was our underrepresented groups. How we focused on it. We're not the most diverse of sports. We have a few visible minorities, but we try to be as inclusive as possible. But obviously, that was the goal of the grant of underrepresented groups. So an easy one, or not an easy one, but one that was very sort of a tangible goal was to increase the participation of women and girls. So I particularly, younger girls and boys, like younger kids, starting kids young. Obviously, you increase your chances of having successful high performance athletes. So in 2020, we had about 24 participants in our slalom program, which was a huge increase from basically we didn't have a development slalom program before. So that was good, and that was mostly we had to split groups up so that we were able to have kids in boats. We did not have adequate equipment, so we were using personal boats. Larry's daughter lent her boat. I used my boat. We had old national team members whose boats were at the club who gave us permission to use their boats, which was a huge. Well, I mean, it was essential for us to be able to run that program that year. And out of that program, we got enough momentum to get more boats. So now we have eight slalom boats that belong to to the Ottawa River Runners, and with the help of Whitewater, Ontario, we're able to procure those boats, along with skirts, helmets, life jackets, paddles, all the accessories that are required to paddle. So that was very important for the sustainability of the program. We're looking at engaging kids and continuing their development through slalom into high performance. Ideally, that's the overarching goal. The Ottawa River Runners, the goal is to increase the number of people kayaking, and that just natural progression increases the success of the national team. The more people we have at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of athlete development, the more successful athletes you see. So we had some grant money, we had participation fees, and we had some donor money that allowed us to get those slalom boats. And for reference, the importance of practicing slalom in a slalom boat is pretty crucial, I would say. Imagine if you were a marathon canoeer and all you ever did was paddle in your Novacraft 16-foot tripping canoe, and then you all of a sudden are in a race and you're in a super tippy marathon canoe. You'd have a little bit of trouble transitioning from that. Likewise, if you were in a Pelican sit-on-top kayak and then you get into a sprint kayak, the outcome would not be, let's say, ideal. So for us, it's the same thing. Having a slalom kayak to be introduced to the sport in proper equipment is really crucial for the enjoyment and the success and the progression of our participants. So yeah, I guess this program that we're running is, I'm very proud that we were able to get so many kids in 2020, and that we were able to have majority participation with female athletes or kids participating, which is very good. Also for the retention of kids, having the more people that are relatable in training groups or in the groups, the more there is a cohesive social dynamic, the more we're able to retain participation. So I'm really happy to see that we had a lot of girls and they've become very good friends. Some of them knew each other before coming in, and then others just became really good friends. And then we also had a number of boys who were interested and who were brought into the social dynamic as well. So that was very positive. And yeah, I can't think of anything else I wanted to highlight, unless there's somebody. Yeah, it's true. Having the right equipment reduces frustration. That's a huge one. And it's good to see that we've got a lot of equipment, or not a lot of equipment, but we're starting to grow our fleet. And I'm hoping to see it continue to grow and be maintained, and hopefully it's a snowball effect, and hopefully we're able to continue getting good participation numbers, as well as grant support and support from our provincial sport organization, which is Whitewater, Ontario. Something else I wanted to touch on was, now that we have the equipment, we really want to be able to develop a program with a consistent coach and stuff. A big part of the reason we were able to have such a big jump in participation was the COVID summer of 2020. There were a lot of people in Ottawa that weren't traveling, they weren't going on trips, including myself. I was not in Europe at all racing. So I was able to have a very hands-on role in finding, literally talking to kids and getting them to sign up for the program initially, and then when I was there, it was facilitating the training sessions, or the and we had, it was myself and James Risk, the two of us were coaching the program together, but he's also moved on, and so now we're really hoping to be able to secure a more full-time and more consistent coach, so that we're able to continue a program that's not sort of jumping between retired athlete to retired athlete, or like even current athletes. We're unable to commit to any longevity because we're off racing. So that's our next big sort of roadblock we're hoping to tackle, is get some consistent coaching. And I think that about sums up what I wanted to talk about today.
Amazing, Lois. Thank you. This is Ryan. Can you dive in a little bit more? I mean, the recruitment side, getting those people into the program, that's one of our biggest obstacles. And then, how did you keep them in the program? I know there's some great successes in what's going on with some of those paddlers right now too. So maybe dive in a little bit more of your recruitment strategies, and then what were the retention side for that?
Okay, so for the recruitment, we do have, through the Ottawa River Runners Club, there is a recreational summer camp, and it's introducing kids to whitewater kayaking, which is extremely important for people who aren't for participants who aren't coming from a long history of whitewater. It can be intimidating, so that initial introduction to whitewater is really great for us. From the slalom side, if we can get kids that have been introduced to whitewater. So I actually spent a lot of time just talking with kids that were in that program, and they kind of see us with our race boats and stuff, and I generated a fair amount of interest just talking to kids that were participating in the recreational program. And I think that there's if we, as a more sustainable approach, rather than just having one or two people talking to kids that are already participating in a program, I think we have an opportunity with our club to introduce slalom into those camps, or to have the staff running the camps really emphasize that there is a continuation of whitewater, and you can continue to participate year-round in whitewater in the slalom discipline. And then that ties right into retention, because if you get kids into the slalom program, I think that we need to, the more people we have, the easier it is to keep people interested. Social dynamics are a huge reason people participate in sport and then continue to compete. And I mean, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, the social aspect is really important, and I truly believe that. So I think that if the more participation we get, the easier it is to keep people engaged and interested in it, and passionate about kayaking. But yeah, so I think we need to, as a club, we need to really work on growth of numbers. So
Amazing. Thank you. I apologize, folks. I'm not sure why my camera's not coming on. I'm not used to GoToMeeting. Lois, it's okay. I'm going to open. I do have a couple questions too, but I'd like to open the floor if there's any questions on your program, or even if you don't mind providing some questions on you as an athlete. But
yeah, for sure.
So we'll open it up to the group. Lois, what people are thinking, one of the things that the highlighted for me is when you're talking about the social aspect of being an athlete or being in a program. Can you dive, from your experience as both a coach and an athlete, what were some of the key things that created that social dynamic for you as an athlete, and how did you then do that within your programs when you were coaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, when I started racing, when I was on the junior national team for the first time, that was in 2015, and I was on the team with two of my, they're still two of my closest friends, and they were, so one was Natasha and Willa were both on the team, and we started kayaking all together in 2011 or 2012, and were it not for them, I wouldn't be still racing. They're not racing anymore, but with just the friendship that you get seeing somebody every single day, pretty much, and we went on trips together, and we failed together. we paddled in the cold together, and so you kind of sport brings you together in a way that you wouldn't normally interact with most people. So for me, that was key, and I see that in our in a lot of our next gen athletes in whitewater. There are some very tight cohorts, little groups of friends that are clearly extremely good friends, and good friends become good competitors, and good competitors push you to be better, so I see it in the kids that are coming up through the program right now. And I really, when I was coaching the introduction groups, we focused a lot on interpersonal relationships as well. Through kayaking, we would make teams and stuff, and do sort of very not kayak specific, but through kayak team building activities, games, and funny icebreakers, and keeping the atmosphere light and welcoming, and it really clearly fostered an environment where all the participants started to feel comfortable enough with each other to become friends. And I know that they hang out outside of kayaking already, so that's to me, that's a win. And I think that the more new participants see that there is a positive and friendship based approach to it, the more you can foster that environment. It's hard to transition like an atmosphere. If it's a very negative atmosphere, it kind of perpetuates a situation. So I think starting through the people that introduced me to slalom, they were very focused on positive friendship and atmosphere, and I think that's something I've tried to pass on, and I think so far it's been successful at the Ottawa Runners and through Whitewater, Ontario. So I think that's a positive, and I think it's really just personally how people are interacting and really encouraging that positive attitude.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for Lois? Okay, Lois, again, I really appreciate when athletes take the time to share with us what their experience, but this is super unique that you had that coaching experience as well, that you give both perspectives. So thank you for what you're doing as an athlete. Thank you for what you're doing for our paddling community. And we really appreciate you joining us. So thank you, Lois.
Yeah, thanks so much.